So, hello everyone. I guess the stream is working now. Let me only check the audio on YouTube if it's working. Also today I tried also to stream to Facebook, but I have no idea if it's working. So later I guess I will see. But I think everything. Oh wow, it's working even on Facebook. Okay, so basically, now I only need to find. Okay. So in the meantime, when I was, whoops, let me transform center on screen. Move this whole guy here. When I was not streaming, I also did this guy, like beforehand, like between some streams, and also I did this guy. And I kind of decided to go to the colors, to start using colors, because why not? Basically, colors are fun, so no more only black and white, but I will also convert every single painting into the black and white. So yeah, and today I will be doing the Corpse Captain, the one that I had previously prepared for myself beforehand, like for this stream. And also I made a post on Instagram where I let some people randomize the next guys. So I see I have written in here that G4 is next, but also pretty much the 7 next numbers are picked. So I will continue doing them in this order, and I kind of wonder what will be in there. And also, as I said, because I'm going to do some colors and whatnot, I guess the stream will be a bit longer because I will have to color this guy properly. So most likely the streams will take a bit more time now, but I don't think this is something bad. And also, as always, if anyone has any questions or anything is interesting you in particular, feel free to ask. I will try to answer in a best way that I can. So let me just stretch the canvas a bit. And yeah, let's continue doing this guy. Also, to feel a bit better about drawing Diablo and everything, I decided to start playing some Beelzebub mod on Diablo 1, and boy, it's cool. If you have never played Diablo, or if you have played Diablo but you kinda got enough of it, especially of Diablo 1, then Diablo Thanaborg or Beelzebub depends on the mod that you are going to use, is really cool. It adds tons of great things into the game, so I really recommend you playing the mod. And yeah, so basically today I will be drawing this guy. Also, if anything is not working properly, feel free to let me know in the comments or in the chat. Let me see on the multi-stream if anything is working. So yeah, I kinda wonder if it will work nicely. Shit, wrong layer again. If everything will work nicely, so that's pretty much all. And with this guy, this will be kinda a tricky one to do because I wanted to like kinda ink everything, like to make everything made out of like straight lines, black and white and whatnot and everything. But this is actually the first monster that is really thin. So in a sense, all the bones and whatnot are really not that thick. So it might be a bit problematic for some parts to like be visible properly. I wonder how kinda it will affect the whole thing. And for this one, I also want to kinda change the design because there are like a lot of different skeletons and everything, especially with all this corpse type of thingies. Later there's also one that has a prefix of a horror, so I kinda want them to be visually really different. so they will make kind of sense instead of just changing the color, because like previously I was not really limited to using only color, so I was limited to use only color, and I kinda had to try to make them a bit different instead of just like painting them in a different color. And now I kinda want to keep the way that I was working, but additionally add colors to them. So for example, the corpse paint captain is like a yellowish with this blue type of a shield on his hands, but I kinda want him to also have some sort of a meat on him, like some muscles left and everything, since this is the corpse captain. So I feel like adding some muscles, like the remnants of the muscles, will really nicely fit to this guy. It will make for a cooler design in the end. So this was my idea for it. Also, I also wanted to add some like hairs to him, like flying around ominously, but I'm not that sure about this idea, so I will see how it will go. But yeah, the basic idea is pretty much exactly the same. Also for the muscles, I have like a really simple reference, because I just got something like this graphic type of a shape thingy. So I kind of want them to be a bit like a real muscles or something like this, but also to make them look kind of decayed or destroyed or rotten or torn apart or something like this. So it's not like the muscle structure that is really in a perfect shape. And this is also the reason why I wanted to have this like a graphic type of thingy as a reference. Hello, Czajnik w kropki. Because this way I won't really think about copying the muscles. I will only have the general idea on where the muscle is attached. And that's pretty much all the reasons that I wanted to have some muscles on him. And also it's kind of hard to find the references for like the decaying muscles, and I don't think even the YouTube will really like me to show this type of thingies. So I guess the graphic type of thing you will really have to do. And as I said, since the skeletons are quite hard to draw actually, because there are like tons of small things happening in here, I also have some references with me, because it will be quite impossible for me to do without any references. I have the general idea on how the skeleton looks like, but it's nothing that solid. So I always try to use references. At the beginning of this challenge, I kind of wanted to avoid using references at all, but yeah, I guess I won't benefit from not using references. So let me just use them as much as needed. Also, one of the reasons that I wanted to add some bones to this guy, some muscles to this guy, is usually the skeleton as an enemy do not really make a lot of sense, since like the entire skeleton weighs like 3 kilograms or something like this. The bigger person will obviously have a bit heavier skeleton, but it's still around 4 kilos top, I guess. Like back in the days, I bought some sort of a wage, I guess, that also shows the body composition that I have, and it told me my skeleton only weighs like 3.10 kilograms, so nothing really that terrifying. And even if I think about fighting a skeleton like this, fighting a sack of bones that pretty much weighs close to nothing, is not really that terrifying. So I guess you just pick up the skeleton and simply throw it, or just attack different skeletons, other skeletons with this skeleton, with a current skeleton. So adding some muscles, like adding some mass actually to it, I guess will be a nice thing to make him look a little bit more real. Also, since vast majority of the skeletons do not really make sense, like they are just walking bones and whatnot, So maybe also by adding some muscles, it will make a bit more sense for them to exist. So for example, some sort of a necromancer had to preserve some muscles, had to like magically attach them, so they will like have some sort of a way to move around. And also it could look kind of cool while animated if the skeleton only has like a really limited amount of muscles and whatnot, because it will kind of force him to move in a really weird and a really creepy pattern, I can imagine. So actually leaving some muscles behind, like for example, if he wouldn't have some deltoids or whatnot, or wouldn't have the side delt, maybe he won't be able to like rise his arm up, and it will only add to the cool factor of of a skeleton. So maybe this is the reason why they are not really dangerous creatures, or mostly they are not dangerous creatures, because they don't really have the entire structure to them, so they cannot like move properly. And also, as I said, since this is a corpse captain, I kinda want him to have some like debris, like the things left rotten on him. So for example, for the areas like the chest, the ribs, I could add a lot of cool small details and everything, because I will actually have something to like fill out the gaps. The muscles can not only be torn, but they will also significantly make the whole silhouette way thicker. And the thicker the silhouette is, usually the easier it is to read, and the easier it is kinda to make it look cool. In a sense, of course. This is like a really oversimplification, but this is kind of the reasons why to add those type of things to him. And also later, if I will like have some sort of a horror captain, and I will have, because a friend of mine who was randomizing the thing randomized the next captain, actually the horror captain, so it will also visually make them way different if, for example, the horror captain will have no muscles whatsoever, or if it will be connected in a way different manner. So yeah. And for the anatomy, I don't really try to be extremely precise with it, so I don't really care if some bones are crooked or if they are not existing at all. For example, the loose ribs that most of us has, like on the bottom part of our ribs, like these two guys, I might not include them because maybe they broke off or something like this happened to them. So yeah, you don't really need to be that precise with drawing everything. Of course, the more precise you will be, the better most likely it will look in the end. But for example, drawing the ribs is like extreme level of torment for me. I hate drawing ribs. They are just like boring. Hello, Demon Envy. They are just like boring, so I don't really enjoy drawing them that much. And also, I never liked the angles of the ribs, like drawing them downward while the silhouette is from below or something like this was always mind-boggling for me. So I just go for the general feel with it. And also, this is the cool part with this corpse part, because I can reconnect the ribs in any way kind of I want, with like some flesh hanging from it or whatever. And most likely it will like be, in a sense, justified a bit. So I will only need to kind of keep everything in place. But for example, for all the spine, like different spine structures, I don't know how, vertebrae, I guess, how they are called. I don't really care if I have like one extra or two extras or something like this. I don't really think anyone would really care if there would be like one spine extra or something like this. I just only want to suggest that they are still there. So there is a way to make them look a bit cooler. And of course, if for example the demon is bigger, and because there are some monsters that are basically huge skeletons in Diablo, I guess it was in Hellfire expansion, then it will also make sense to add a bit more to add a bit more vertebrae in the spine. Let me check how to actually write it. Yeah, vertebra. It's kręgi in Polish language. So yeah. Also, I have no idea if the chat from Facebook shows in the multi-stream chat. So if anyone is from Facebook, like writing anything, at the moment I don't see any of messages. So I will later need to check if this is actually working or if it's not working at all. Yeah. And the worst place that always give me some troubles is actually those small bones, radii and everything in the forearm. I have no idea why, but my brain has like a shitload of problems with remembering how they overlap. Like if the smaller one, if the thicker one closer to elbow is on the inside, or if it is on the outside. And yeah, I have been struggling with it for a really long time. If there was something that was really hard for me while drawing skeletons, it was actually this part out there, and all this pronation or supination and whatnot was only contributing to the problems. So this was always the thing that was causing me some problems. And I guess the bicep was, let's check where it was connecting. So I don't remember if it was connecting to the, oh yeah, to this one. So I kind of want him to have like this thin as bicep in here. There's also this small tendon going around. So this skeleton has some massive arms. And even if we consider the fact that it was risen from the dead, that some sort of a necromancer created this guy, maybe he also had some different idea about reattaching some muscles, so he used magic and stuff to basically add new muscles, because he kind of felt like it will add to the possibilities of the skeleton. For example, like changing bicep to like a free string muscle, kind of creating a tricep out of it, would also make sense, because he would have like 3 biceps in here. It will be kind of cool looking. So I could like connect 3 different strands in here. And as I said, it will kind of add the weird factor for the skeleton. Now I see I missed the angle for the ribs in here. And this is what is really problematic with ribs. They have this weird ass geometry that I never enjoyed, that they go kinda up and down and whatnot. But what is cool, because of this flesh still being on this guy, I can kinda ignore the things that are happening behind him, so I don't necessarily need to draw the entire ribcage. Because I used to train drawing a ribcage for a really long time, and at some point I was really able to draw it from like every single angle that I could imagine. But I was really not practicing it recently, so I kind of forgot about all the tricks that I had and everything. And hello, Michał. And whatnot, so yeah. And what is also extremely cool with skeletons, you can play really a lot with their facial expression. Like all the details, like all the small details that you will include in here can make a skeleton look really different. especially if you are doing some sort of an undeads, it's really easy to make them look like excited or dangerous or angry. And it's really hard to have this like neutral, some sort of a brain dead emotion visible on the face of a skeleton. Me. This area, I have no idea where obliques actually connect. Like, I know they start from the pelvis, but where they actually connect later, I guess to the ribs, it will make most sense for them to be in here. Or if they like attach from the behind. That's something to study. I always knew where they are, but I never really learned the insertion points for them. And the pelvis. I always liked the shape of a pelvis. It always looked really interesting for me. And I remember for a really long time when I was like just beginning to learn how to draw characters and anatomy and everything, because I bought the Proco course for anatomy. Actually, it's a really great course. If anyone is like thinking about buying it, most definitely you should, because this is a great course with like a shitload of knowledge in it. So this is a really cool thing to spend your money on. But I remember there still is a chapter about drawing pelvises and showing all those methods, how to construct it properly and whatnot. And I remember I was losing my mind over it, because this shape also was something that was not really wanting to get saved in my brain. And I always had problems with pelvises. And later when I decided, okay, just fuck it, I will just simply draw it. I will just try to draw them from like 10,000 different angles, because I was just like drawing them consistently. I was like, okay, I guess now I kinda understand the shape that they have. And now, fortunately, I don't really have that many problems with drawing pelvises and whatnot. I have no idea if if in English language it also works, but in Polish it's called miednica, and miednica also means some sort of a huge bowl that also is kind of shaped like a pelvis. So I don't know if this is a thing in particular, like tied to my language, to the Polish language, but it was cool to learn. Something like this is actually a thing. Ah, and the skeletons in here have no kneecaps. Says, oh, someone forgot to render kneecapses. Funny. Also later I will see how the drawing goes. Hello, the conduct action. How the drawing goes, so maybe we will make more than one monster. Yeah, the pelvises are cool. Especially when Proco was discussing also the differences between like male and a female pelvis. And this was really interesting because like the pelvis shape in terms of a bone structure overall is kind of different. Like it's most visibly different. And when I got kind of interested in the topic, like back in the days, also this was one of the easiest way to say if a skeleton that is found by archaeologists is male or female, is simply by looking at the pelvis shape, because it's really easy to see the gender based on the pelvis shape. And the general like skeletal structure of a female was a little bit more delicate, and the skulls of the females were also kinda easy to see if it is a female or not a female. But yeah, small little details. For example, if you were to design some sort of a monster. Wait, I need to reference this muscle. Let's If you were to design some sort of a monster that is a female and it is supposed to be a skeleton, then it's a neat small thing to actually have included in a painting, in a design. So you can kind of design everything a bit deeper. I basically don't think about... the question is how simplifying complex overlapping shapes in your head. Basically, I don't think about every single bone as a separate object in a sense. So for example, for the ribs, like the idea actually is really simple, because if you have like the general shape of ribs, as you can also see on the reference, there is the sternum, I guess, there are the clavicles. In here you would have the beginning of the arm bone. So basically this is like this type of a shape. And if I were to put it in the perspective, it would look a bit like, let's say like this. And in here, it's kind of a simplification, but it will create some sort of this type of a shape. So it's basically like this shape only. It's nothing that is extremely that complex. And later is only like remembering kind of the angle of the ribs, because they tend to go kind of downward at the beginning and then upward in here, downward in here, upward in here. And this is basically how the whole skeletal structure kind of goes. And in here you have this like multi-connected ribs. I guess there were 12 of them, but I like, this is always a number that kind of slips my mind. So it's basically kind of transitioning this fact into the perspective. So you remember that it goes slightly downwards, then it goes kind of upwards, well, and then it connects in the back, and in here kind of upward, kind of like in here downwards, and it creates this like this type of a shape, to really oversimplify it. But this is basically the thing in here. So yeah, with the ribs, it kind of took me quite a lot of practice to basically understand the thing, but when I was like reading and trying to understand how different artists approach this type of a thing is, usually they just take a 3D reference and just place it similarly, because it's quite easy to find a skeleton 3D reference type of a painting or a 3D model. I'm babbling. It's kind of easy to find a 3D model of a skeleton, and the easiest way is to just like search for a reference, rotate it in a way you need to have it, and that's pretty much all, and just copy the angles. And after doing so for like 20 or 30 times in a row, you will kind of get the basic idea of how the ribs look like. And to be honest, later if you are drawing any type of an undead, most likely you are not going to draw the entire ribs like shown. Most likely they are going to be hidden behind some sort of an armor or something like this, and they will only be protruding from through some holes and whatnot. So to be honest, I don't really like, it's a cool exercise to do, but I don't really see much sense in like trying to draw a perfect ribcage. Once, twice, just for the sake of practice and just understanding the geometry a bit better, because this will force you to really flex your brain while drawing, then it's completely fine. But other than that, I don't really see that much sense in like redrawing this topic over and over again. And for the demonetization, it's not a problem for me, because I still have not reached the needed 4,000 hours of the view time, so any of the video is not monetized at the moment. Maybe they will be in the future, because also I heard that YouTube is planning to like add ads, no matter if you are monetized or not monetized or demonetized or whatever. Like there will be ads no matter what, so it's not really that big of a deal, I guess, for me at the moment. I guess I'm still missing, like, I'm at the cap of like 50% of all the for all the videos that people need to watch from me to get this monetization type of thingy open. But from what I was reading online, it's basically like a one viral video that has a bit more than 10,000 views or something like this, and then you pretty much have the monetization available. But then of course you always need to like be aware of all the things that you can do, that you cannot do, so it might be a bit of a hassle. But with art, I guess it won't be that big of a deal, because most of the things that pretty much every single thing that I'm creating in here is done purely by myself, so it will be kind of hard to get, for example, like a copyright struck or something like this. Maybe if I will play some sort of a music, but I usually don't, so I don't think it will really affect me that much. And with all the legs and bones in the legs, back in the day I will stress myself out completely to try to draw the bones in the legs perfectly. But after some drawing, I kinda understood the fact that you don't necessarily need to draw every single thing perfectly for it to look okayish or even acceptable. Like the brain of someone who is like watching the drawing or a painting will fill out the gaps. So for example, this few lines kind of look like a feet of a skeleton, but not necessarily the entire feet of a skeleton is drawn. I mean, for the comments, it's still like, even if I was watching and used to watch like different videos and whatnot, I notice it's not still that many of the comments happening, even on a really huge channels. Like only when you are like, I don't know, several millions subscribers, then you have like what, 7,000 comments, something like this. And it's usually because someone is doing some dumb shit on a video, so it's kinda, in a sense, engaging to write a comment. In art, I don't really see that many comments. It's kinda easy to remember them. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as calling this homoerotic. I don't even know you like in real life, so I kinda think this is an overstatement in a sense. But yeah, this is kinda how the YouTube works. The only thing that I kinda need to understand a bit better is how to tag everything and all this CEO type of thingies, because this is weird. Like YouTube is not really like helping with this type of thingies, and it does not really show the things that you should do or tell you. More like a stream zone. Does not really show you the YouTube how to kinda write those things. They only say like a really hard to understand things, I would say. And you has all this like other apps and pages kinda help you to understand how to work with the YouTube algorithm. This guy is kinda looking a bit nice. Sir done. at the beginning. I always really liked the shields these guys had. Like even now, because I'm playing, as I said, this like Beelzebub mod, there are like several more different types of skeletons, and I really started to wonder if 4 are all the skeletons that you have in the basic version, because there are some like blue skeletons that are named called Death or something like this, and also they were really cool. So I guess after maybe finishing all of the monsters and all the bosses from like the basic game, maybe I'll try to revisit and to actually draw some of the variations from the mod, because tons of great concepts in there and cool names, especially the bosses. Like all the bosses have really cool names with the vibe from the Diablo 2. Because for example, for today, I was fighting a guy that was named like the Ice Death Smallpox, something like this, something that does not really make a sense, but has this cool like monster type of a name, type of thingy from the Diablo series. I always enjoyed the monsters having these weird ass names. Yeah, that's a nice thing to do. So you are a good guy if you are commenting on the videos. Yeah, sometimes even YouTube is not showing me the comments. Like when I had like 100 subscribers, I got like every single notification for every single thing, like for every single detail that happened in here. And now it shows me only the parts of it. Finan, yeah, Finan, you definitely should play Diablo. It's hands down one of the best games ever made, ever created. Like it's I have kind of a biased view on it because I used to play like a lot when I was a kid, and it used to terrify the shit out of me. And but objectively saying, this is a good game with really cool designs to them. That was kind of changing the way the games were made. So you should try it. And also thanks. I'm glad that you enjoy looking at the monsters. Also, I guess later when I will be closer to like finishing the whole thing, I guess I will like share the file with all the cards in there. Or I will kind of like rematch them or add some different creatures from the Hellfire expansion Beelzebub and whatnot. So all the people will be able to actually pick the same challenge as I did. Actually, there are, but it's kind of a rare thing to have, because like a vast majority of concept artists that I heard of do not really know anatomy that well, because it's not really a thing that is extremely needed. If you are doing a concept art, really rarely you will see a concept artist, let's say, have a great knowledge anatomy, like the knowledge anatomy to the point where they can name every single bone and whatnot. Like they have the basic understanding of drawing everything. For example, that I am doing right now, this is nothing really that too crazy, but as far as I know and as far as I heard, it's kind of a rarity to have like as a skill. It's mostly tied to the illustrators, and illustrators sometimes do paint those type of things, but the problem with painting and drawing skeletons is they are extremely time consuming, because there are a lot of small things that are happening in here, and it's kind of weird to paint something that is so thin in a sense. But for example, if I were to show you fire monster, there are monsters from Diablo Hellfire that basically are a huge skeletal demons, and I don't know if it will be visible. It will be. These are the bone deads, and it's basically a huge demon with wings. It looks way cooler from like the side view or something like this. And also there are some illusion demons. Also, this is a skeleton that would used to make a King Leoric in Diablo Hellfire. And also I guess there was one more for and for this guy, because I really look up for drawing him, if I go to the expansion set, I strongly believe this is the skeleton of this guy. So this is like this Khazra type of a demon that is really cool. And also you have some leashes. Leashes are extremely cool. I really want for the expansion to happen like in this challenge, so I could draw this guy, because this is extremely cool looking monster. Let me actually save them in here. So I would say it's just a rarity, in a sense. It's a weird word to say. If you are an illustrator, I would say you are capable of like painting things and drawing things that basically look nice. And it kind of means that most likely your render is really good. You have a really good understanding of the basic stuff in art, like composition and whatnot, because it is kind of needed to be a good illustrator. You kind of need to have a good understanding of these topics. If you are a concept artist, you don't necessarily need to know those things the same way the illustrators do. And also, if you are a concept artist, most likely you don't necessarily need to be able to perfectly render every single like thing that you are going to draw, because it's not really needed that much. If you say, okay, this is blue and this is gray and this is this material and this is that material, and you are able to render it in a neutral looking light, then fine. It's more than enough usually. But the thing is, a vast majority of concept artists also have a solid illustration background, so they are able to pretty much draw every single thing without many problems. So usually the concept art do not really require amazing drawing skills. I would kind of say it kind of requires a good thinking and the ability to connect dots, like different dots together. And a nice image is really a byproduct of it. And now it's, I guess, just people want their concept art to look pretty. For example, for a guy like this, I don't really think there will be a concept art needed, because basically this is skeleton. Of course, all the small details will matter in the general like outcome for it, like how the flesh is hanging on him and etc. But everything that I am doing in here in perspective could be easily done without a perspective, just on a flat image, and it wouldn't require like an extreme skill in drawing to design something like this. This might be an oversimplification, but the better craftsman you are, the better at drawing and painting you are, doing concept art most likely will be way easier for you, because you simply have like more tools to work with. For Diablo class, from Diablo 2, it was always a barbarian. I always liked playing like this huge guy and just smash everything, but I always sucked playing with barbarian. In Diablo 1, I spent most time playing rogue. I never knew how to read this word, like rogue, roche, however, whatever. Currently in the mod, I am playing necromancer because it was kind of interesting. It's like a sorcerer, but not really. And I got to summon skeletons, and I always like summoning skeletons. But on the other hand, I never really enjoyed Necromancer from Diablo 2, so I would say Barbarian slash Rogue type of a character. In vast majority of role-playing games, I usually play with thieves and whatnot, because I always liked playing with thieves. And usually games like Baldur's Gate or Pillars of Eternity don't have like a good thief class NPC that you can like add to your team. So usually it was the easiest pick for me because I could open everything from the get-go. Yeah, I guess it's like Roche, Rogue. I will ask Google how to read this. Translate. Rogue. Rogue. This is a weird word to say. Rogue. Yeah. It's not pleasant on the tongue. Let me now increase the thickness for this boy. But this is actually also the place where the skeletons will shine while drawing them, because with all the things that they have on them, like all the small muscles, all the small lines and whatnot, I can really play with the line weight in this one. So, and with the small local shadows casted by all the bones and everything. So this is actually a nice part of drawing this guy. Now I kind of wonder... wait, skeleton open. If you can see a spine through the skeleton. Through the mouth, I guess you should be able to see it, because, yeah, I guess you could. No, and hello, Rock Crafter 2K. Now, I was prepared for your coming to the stream. Do you think concept? I would say most likely yes, because like people will always enjoy having nice paintings and drawings and whatnot. And of course it will be affected by all this artificial intelligence and whatnot, because like everything does in a sense. So even with the things like this NVIDIA, I don't remember how it was called, that was basically generating all the landscapes and everything, it's just a tool. Like some of the things will be way easier to do, some things would not really require you a lot of things to make. So for example, as Unreal recently shown their like face generators, it's not like it's something that will kind of remove the need for people being able to like model a face or whatever, because still it's just a tool. It will make the things easier and faster, especially in the development when you have like, I don't know, 100 NPCs and whatnot. It will be really hard to design a face for each one of them. Now you can pretty much play with sliders, so it will just speed up the whole process. And you still need to kinda have someone who understand how to create those things from scratch, because only this type of a person will be able to really utilize the tool that speeds up everything. So I would say it is a future-proof profession in a sense, to a degree, because of course you can, like, you already have like a machines that basically are printers for tattoos. You just like place your arm in a tube and it makes a perfect tattoo on you. But a lot of people, for example, enjoy having tattoos like done by this certain artist because they just like their stuff and whatnot, and they would not be that proud of the same tattoo that was pretty much done by the machine. So I guess in art this human-to-human relationship is extremely important. And also it can be a really good like marketing thing for the future, because for example, you will definitely have some games that are purely made by AI, like that were generated by AI, and this will be a selling point for the games, like play the game that was basically created by the artificial intelligence. But also later, I can imagine there will be a demand for games that were made purely by humans with the normal tools. Like it can be a really strong solid point, like play the game made by humans for humans or whatever. So I don't really think the artist or illustrator jobs are going to extinct anytime soon. I even kind of would say they will flourish. They will grow bigger. Wait, so many different words. I need to check one word. They will bloom. Okay, this was the word that I was missing. They will bloom in a sense because people just like having traditional stuff, for example. And recently I noticed a lot of artists kinda switches, or maybe not switches, but also trains drawing or painting in traditional medias apart from their digital stuff, because it's just getting more and more popular. Like I can imagine just if I were drawing everything on paper with inks and whatnot, most likely these videos will have way more views and everything, because in my opinion, even personally, I think it's way more pleasant to just watch someone draw on a piece of paper. It just looks better in my opinion. And yeah, that's why I think digital is not going anywhere. Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine like the AI being able to generate a realistic type of stuff, because it has like the whole world to learn from, and it definitely will be way harder for it to understand a good stylization for it. Like this is actually a thing that is done purely by humans, but on the other hand, if you will like feed it like 10,000 different examples, most likely it will be able to create something on its own. But yeah, if there will be an explosion of a certain type of a movies or games in the future when the AI will be really advanced, I guess it will be all the things that are stylized. And to a degree, I would even say that people enjoy those type of a productions way more, because it has this like unique artistic value to it that the realism do not really has. Like even just by like reading the comments and just basically being interested in the topic of games and movies and whatnot, I noticed like when the AAA studios try to make this new game with this ultra realistic type of graphic design to them and whatnot, usually you will find some people saying that, oh, okay, this graphics is shit. But if you have something that is really heavily stylized, a lot of people will basically say that, oh, the graphics are really cool and nice, or that the graphics do not really matter that much. So a good stylization is way harder to do, in my opinion, than realism, but it also, yeah, but I lost the track of mind. I wanted to say that it's way harder to make a good stylized project. It's way easier to make a realistic type of a project with the graphics and everything, because like more and more tools are like helping with it. And if your game is not really focusing that much on a graphics, I don't see a reason to go with the realistic graphics for your games. Oh, nice. Yeah, I really like this graphic tablet. It's like for me it's indestructible because I have been using it for God knows how many years and it's a really solid tool. Also, if you will have like your tablet, remember maybe you will get a hard or soft tip on your pen, and there is a way it will wear off really fast. So in here, I don't know if you can see it in here, especially on this older like models. Let me open it. Now it won't open. Yeah, but in here you have this part to take the tip off, and in here you have some spare nibbles. So actually the one that I'm using, I have been using for over 3 years now, and it is still I have the hard one, I guess, because I have been using it for over 3 years now, and it is still in here, so I guess it is a really good nib. But I heard some people were saying that some nibs really wear off quickly, but they are the softer nibs. I really like them. I used to play League of Legends a lot, like really a lot. Like back in the days, I would spend basically days playing League of Legends with my friends. And I really like the designs. I'm not that much of a fan of a stylized type of thingies, but I cannot say they are designed badly. I would say the designs are really good. I'm not sure how they look like right now because I have not been playing League of Legends for several years now at this point, but I always really enjoyed the designs. Yeah, if you like. Like, to be honest, you will just get used to it. Like, what I really like about this Intuos, this older Intuos, not the Intuos Pro, is that it's a bit rougher on the surface. It is not that smooth. For example, the Intuos Pro is really smooth, and I tried painting on it. It is great tablet. I was really enjoying using it, but I would need to get used to the texture that it has. And this one basically feels for me like paper, because also it is old and is full of scratches and whatnot. So when I'm even drawing, I kind of feel all the scratches, all the textures and everything on it. So yeah, even if maybe you will be able to see it on the camera, but I don't think so. You can see there's a yeah, you can see it. There's a white spot in the middle. It's basically where the tablet kinda worn off. And even with at a certain degree, I can see like the construction grade of a tablet underneath it. So I guess the moment where I will need to change my graphic tablet to a new one will be when I basically dig through this layer, the surface area. But then it will mean that I was working enough, in a sense. Because happily I never had many problems with the hardware or anything. So yeah, okay, just me. Thanks for stepping by and have a good day. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, and the previous tablet that I had used to be a Pentagram Titan 2003. It was a good tablet, but the problem was the pen was charged with the batteries. It was not like the induction as you have in the Wacom products. And one day the battery actually spilled off inside the pen, and I was just sitting watching a horror movie. I guess it was even The Ring, and it was at a point where it was really scary moment, and all of a sudden the pen on my tablet just started bending in half, and I was shitless terrified of what is happening. I thought like demons entered my room, but it turns out the battery basically spelled off, just blow up inside the pen and caused it to get destroyed. And hello, Karel. And thanks. So yeah, but other than that, the Pentagram Titan was also a really solid graphic tablet that I used to have, and also that I was using for like, I don't know, 2 years or something like this. Many people in the comments, like on the web, on the reviews and everything, were saying it was a crappy tablet, that it was not working properly, and that it was made out of a really bad grade of a plastic. But I never encountered like many problems with it, so. But as I said, I usually have a good luck with the hardware. Oh, yeah. Hmm. The autofocus, I guess. Let me try to resolve it. Properties. Configure video. Camera control. Where is the autofocus? Buffering, audio, resolution. Configure video. Oh, okay. The autofocus got turned off and yeah. Thanks for letting me know, Czajnik w kropki. Now it should be okay. It's not like the perfect camera, but it should be. Like I bought it because it had like 4K and whatnot videos. And this is kind of like 4K my ass. I guess a telephone like camera will work way better as an actual camera, but well, at least I have a camera, like a webcam with like at least a decent quality. I wanted to use like a photo camera. I turned on the Discord several times to play some games, so I was not really touching this topic at the moment. But I wouldn't say it's going badly. I would say it has not moved that much. Maybe this week I will try to like resolve it, to do everything with the Discord. So, because also this week I will be uploading a new video, like I guess in 2 or 3 days. So I feel like the brain blockage with talking to the camera is already past and gone. So I think with the new video I will announce the existence of the Discord server. So yeah. Also for those type of thingies in the games that I always had a mixed feelings with, when you have all this like epic gear and whatnot with like everything on them, with like RGB LED straps, like shining bright like the diamond, whatever type of thing is, with all the flashy details and whatnot. I never felt like the urge to do this type of things. I always felt like the simple solutions, like the simplest solutions, for example, like this type of a thing, just a shield with a cool looking skull on top of it, are really enough to make. Like it does not really make tons of sense because it will be like quite heavy, but at the same time I don't think the shield like this necessarily need like all the spines and spikes and everything coming off of it. Like there were some cool designs done in this manner. Like one of the examples I think that was really cool was like a bone shield from Diablo 2, because it kind of made sense in a way, but I was never a huge fan of this over the top type of a thing designs. But I think a shield like this, if it was like just a piece of metal, let's say, the whole thing if was just a piece of metal, and if it will be like, I don't know, bashed from the behind to achieve this shape, it will kind of be possible for it to look like this. Or maybe there's actually a skin stretched on top of this shield, and this is kind of the idea that I really like. So let's say this is like a skin. Yeah, the skin on a shield will actually make a lot of sense. Actually, even the idea of using skin was used in Diablo 3, because they were gathering skin from some like giant demons to build things. It was kind of a weird concept because it felt like this, oh, in a sense, like a bit over the top, but nonetheless, it was an interesting idea to have. Do I want to connect those layers? Not necessarily, I don't. Yeah, also this is like the thing that I really prefer in Diablo 1 or Diablo 2, if we compare it to Diablo 3, for example, that the fact that you have like a red sword is already cool enough. You don't really need the sword to like shoot lightnings in every direction that you can imagine. I remember when I was like upgrading an armor, or for the first time when I wore the Sigan set, and it was like white, and I was like, whoa, cool. This is so cool looking, a white armor. And now when I see like the armor, it's like shining bright, 10,000 spikes on it and whatnot, I'm like, oh wow, another like casual armor. Like the feeling of the armor being powerful actually really gets lost when everything is so over the top. But even the idea of like having a basic structure underneath it, and maybe he is like this skeleton maybe killed some sort of a bigger demon and just made a shield out of him. And this is the reason, this is the way he got a captain status. Maybe it's a kinda cool idea to utilize in this project, but yeah, let me. And I was also kind of struggling with the pose when I started doing it like for the first time, because I really wanted to show the shield because I really like it, and I also wanted to not cover to shield to not cover the entire body as it does on the sprite, because it will make the whole thing ultra boring to draw. So yeah, holes in the shield. And Duolingo started bothering me about the lessons for today. I really think that Duolingo mastered the way to like bother you in this passive aggressive type of a way, where you actually feel bad if you forget about Duolingo. Okay. I wonder if there's maybe a way to acquire the rights to music from Diablo 1 or Diablo 2 to basically be able to play it in the background while I am doing this type of a stream. It will be super cool to have something like this. I have no idea how it works with the covers and everything. Even with the covers, because maybe there is some sort of a version that actually has. Let's just make the mouth black. This guy actually goes way better than I expected him to go. Yeah, Duolingo is really, it's really like, good for you. Knowing languages is a really cool thing. I used to learn German, like for a really long time. But since we had like extremely bad teacher at high school, I really lost like half or like 90% of my interest in this language. And I kinda got it in the first place because of Rammstein. So I guess if not for her, maybe I would speak also a German language now. But now I don't. I tried to like start learning it again, but at some point I was like, okay, but do I even need German language? And I was like, okay, I do really not need this language at the moment. So I kind of stopped learning it again. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I will try Chinese because it seems to be a fun challenge and I always wanted to learn one of those like Asian languages. And as far as I know, it's extremely hard to do, so most likely I will fail, but even learning some of the like basic words and whatnot is a cool experience to have. So I guess at the moment I know that ni hao, probably pronouncing it wrong, means hello. Nice. The funny thing is with Rammstein is when I was like speaking with a lot of Germans, most of them were like kinda laughing at the way they are singing because pretty much no one is speaking the German they sing in, like the way of pronouncing the words. So like a lot of Germans, even the fans, has like this love and hate relationship with them. Oh. Fuck. I guess my Photoshop lagged. This one is working. I have no idea what is happening, but the preview for that guy stopped working. So I will save it and I will hope that it won't crash. I would not be happy if it will crash. Okay, it did not. I managed to save the file. And actually the idea of skeleton holding a sword is extremely dumb because basically if you're holding something with your hand, it's like the meat on your hand kinda does a lot of the job. I wonder in the real life if I would try to like put actual sword in a skeleton's hand, how he will go with the holding. Let's actually make, I guess it was a pommel, this part. Let's make it in a shape of a shield. It would be a cool little detail to have. This part will be a bit longer. For the swords, I also don't want really to make anything that is way over the top. I would prefer him to have some sort of a bit normal looking sword, let's say. So, but of course it needs to be jagged. As I said in the previous streams, some people were using, like the people who were using jagged swords, like this rusty edge, were not really considered to be an honorable warrior, because it would leave really bad scars, like not scars, really bad wounds that are really hard to work with, because it basically rips the skin from the bone, from the muscle and everything. So the clean cut is way easier to treat, and also the rust is not a thing that you would like to have in your wounds. So also this might be a reason why these guys are kinda dangerous, because getting hit with a sword like that will not be a pleasant experience at all. David Finch. I know this name. I definitely heard of him. I have no idea what works he did. Let me check him. I was actually recently thinking of searching for some comic book artists and whatnot, to just base my shading on them. Oh, but these are really cool. Oh, okay, I know the works of this guy. Yeah, they're really good, and the cross hatching is really nice, especially on this one. Really cool looking crosshatch. Nice. Yeah, I need to make like a solid research on a comic book artists if I want to proceed with this type of a style for these guys, because as I said, I really enjoy drawing in black and whites. I always liked inks most. I even prefer the fine liners from the pencils. So I'm not necessarily a comic book type of a guy. I was reading the Dragon Ball Z back in the days, but it's not really like a comic book. It's a manga, and I think there is a difference. But I was never that much into the comic books. I will kinda need to do my homework. A friend of mine actually has like this huge collection of almost every single Marvel chapter. So maybe one day I will simply just go to his place and just take notes of the surnames and whatnot of all the artists. So with this hairs, he kinda looks like the heavy metal wannabe type of a star. Yeah, I guess he has a wife, even. Yep, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, Miho. The whole thing will be recorded, so feel free to watch it later or draw alongside later with the rest of the stream. But yeah, I will be streaming a bit more, so I don't think you will miss a lot. Actually, also with the topic of the skeletons, I can imagine drawing, like, for example, 10 characters in one scene, but god, it will be boring to draw like 10 skeletons in one scene. Zombies, okay, but skeletons with all the bones and whatnot, this will be a true test of patience for me. Yep, see ya. Have a nice night. Yep, on this Wednesday there will be some shadows, constructions and everything. So how to basically approach drawing shadows. But not in a sense that how to paint shadows, but how to actually construct them for a geometry and everything, and how to understand them. I had a weird beep in my headphones. I have no idea what it was. Sounded like something connected to me. Or maybe the power is going off or out of them. Basically the crosshatch, John, is everything that is not like this, but it's like this. And there are different types of crosshatches, because you can go with like the 90-degree one, the one that I don't really like. It works well for fabrics and everything, but basically for like shading, not really. I usually prefer to wrap the lines around the form. So for example, if I have form, let's say like this, most likely I will like shade it like, let's say like this, because it kind of gives you the idea of the surface. But on a more complex drawing, let me show you. Let's make a third copy. I would most likely try to shade in a way that will kind of direct the eye through the surface, so it will show you the angle of the surface, because it kind of gives you more idea of the surface you're working on. But if you do something like this, it tends to flatten the whole thing really much. So I don't think I would call this thing a crosshatch, but maybe I will. It's hard to tell. And for how often, I pretty much want the whole challenge with all these Diablo monsters to be done in this ways, in this a little bit more like drawing type of a manner with inks. So at the moment I could say quite a lot, but usually even if I paint something, I tend to work with my brush in the same manner. So I kind of try to wrap the brush strokes around the forms. It really helps with defining everything in a nice manner, I guess. Let me there's this cool muscle on the face that I wanted this guy to have, but it's this one. Boom. It allows you to kinda create a bit more terrifying expression for the skeleton. It gets rid of this laughing look from it. And also for shading pretty much anything. For example, you can notice Ruangia do this type of thing with every single painting that he does, because he adds a lot of like the small lines and everything to define the shapes, to add like basically a surface detail to all his paintings. So I guess like practicing drawing in this manner might also be beneficial for the way I paint. So I guess this will be like two things done in one session. I will practice the skill that will actually translate pretty nicely to the rest of the drawing. Let's see how it looks without. Actually, this is the first monster that I have done that I prefer to have without the sketch underneath it. Like, I don't think it really benefits to the textures that much, but I will soon try to block the whole shape. No, at the moment no bosses. At the moment I want only the monsters to be on the cards, because I wanted to practice drawing to basically get better at drawing the monsters first, and to basically not roll Diablo on the first on the second stream. I kinda want all the bosses to be a summary for everything that I have learned. So actually I will have like the most developed skill during this channel while doing bosses, and maybe I will be doing bosses in the actual order, so I will only like randomize the monsters in here, and later basically I will just go with them as they appear in the game. So it might be a better way to approach this topic, because pretty much I just want Diablo to look the best, like from all the monsters that I will do. So I guess making him dead last, because in Diablo 1 he is like the last foe you fight, will make most sense. Because for example, if I will get a Diablo right now, I think okay, I will be able to draw it, but I don't think I will understand the visuals that I'm going for that well, because even after like adding a color to all these monsters, I feel that the new doors opened for me in terms of the quality of this challenge, because now I kinda think a bit more in a different manner that I used to with all the monsters. And yeah, just basically to make long story short, I guess it just makes sense to make bosses last. So the first boss basically will be the Butcher, I guess. The second one is King Leoric. The third one will be after Leoric, you will meet from like a solid boss. It will be the Priest, but he was named, oh my god, what was he called? Diablo, bosses. The Butcher, oh, like Garbard the Weak. This is also the one that I could kill. I have no idea which one is this. Oh, okay, this is the dark one that is guarding the entrance to the to the tombs. Then there is Zardemad, the Warlord of Blood. He will be a cool one. And Lagdanan. Lagdanan also actually is my favorite monster from Diablo series. I was really happy that he made an appearance in the next games, but basically this is how Lagdanan looks like. He was a Steel Knight or Black Knight. I'm really waiting to... I hope I will randomize him soon, this type of a monster soon, but this one will really take like hours and hours to finish. I will try to make like the best drawing out of this Steel Knight. And after Lagdanan there is Archbishop Lazarus. So basically this is like a mage, then there is a red Vex, a woman, and there is a Diablo. And the Hork Demon, the Filer, and Nakrul. Quite a lot to do. So actually there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bosses to do in total. So I don't, to be honest, think I will do them anytime soon, especially since there are so many of them. I would be happy if I would manage to finish this challenge like this year. But it goes quite nicely. It's like the middle of the second month. And when I started doing this challenge, I guess, more or less. And I already have, this will be the 16th one. So with this tempo, I guess I will only speed up on it. It will take roughly 8 months for all the monsters. So around 10 months, I guess it will take. Yeah, now which layer it was. This is the layer. Well, I guess I have time. I mean like the Death Knight from Wolf. Wow. Wolf. Yet. From WoW. Looks like the Death Knight from Diablo. It's one of the coolest like designs ever, in my opinion, to be made. And the audio design for these guys were spectacular. Like when you kill them, the way they burn, and when you like hear the scream that they are making and the sounds when they are attacking, this is pure gold. Like this is easily one of the best monsters ever created for any type of a game. Like hands down, one of the best. And also Lagdanan has a really cool story. So, and the name is extremely cool. Like Lagdanan, not sure how to pronounce it, but I guess I'm done with drawing this guy. Now it will be time to color him, so. I was thinking about giving him some armor, but as I said, I don't think the armor will be really beneficial to this guy. So let's hide everything beside. Way too many layers in here. So let's just move these guys to the middle. Whoop. For the colors, I will go really with the really similar vibe to these guys. I want the shield to be a bit blacker, but I will also try to add some sort of a like red, dead type of a flesh on him, so he will actually look like he's rotting. So, of course, a wrong layer. How could I make the feel on a good layer? Okay, so let's block the shape. Turn off this layer. A cool trick if you are going to block some layers is to take an erase, like to paint everything outside the painting, take an eraser tool, choose sample all layers, and then it will try to understand where the edge is. So it will give you a really great base to actually start painting. Of course, some of the things need to be reworked, because if you have like an opening in a drawing, for example, like in here, the threshold will kind of get through it, like through all the holes. But the more you will draw, the better your line work will be, the fuller it will basically be. So it is still night and day if you compare the speed that you are able to work with if you are using this method. Also, what is really cool about this method, it leaves this kinda like jagged edged to the painting. It's really sharp, so it also blends everything really nice. So a small neat trick for anyone who is willing to block some shapes. And blocking shapes is actually, I guess, my favorite way to approach to paint anything, because it's really easy. Oh, there's this cool line. I was basically painting all the time. Like, for drawing, I cannot say that I'm a self-taught artist, like the term that I don't really like. But for digital painting, I was not attending to any school. I was just trying to figure out everything by myself and from the tutorials from the web. And basically I was just drawing, painting, talking with friends, forcing them to learn, to teach me something new, and drawing and painting, trying to figure shit out, reading some articles. Basically like a really casual story. I was just doing it for quite some time. And I got kinda okay in it. And as I said, the second I stopped caring if I will succeed with it or if I will fail with a painting. This was like the moment when I felt the biggest improvement, so this is kinda how it went for me. Let's actually make this part open. Cool, small detail. Doing all the openings in here be pretty painful. There are a lot of holes happening in here. That kind of depends. Like I always was the type of guy that really preferred to paint his own things instead of like copying other stuff. But I used to do, and I am still doing, quite a lot of different studies. But now the way that I approach painting stuff and studying stuff is I only study the stuff that I really need. So if, for example, I'm going to paint some sort of a water dragon or something like this, then I'm going to actually draw and study water creatures and whatnot. So I will be able to actually put my knowledge to the test. Like I will be able to learn to use what I have learned. And this is also the way in which I teach my students. Like if you have, let's say, 10 hours to draw or something like this, and you can draw anything that you want, have a project in your mind that you want to like make or create. So let's say a swamp dragon, because this is also one of the things that I have painted like not so long ago. And instead of like drawing 10 different things, draw 10 things that actually are related to the swamp dragon, to the topic that you are going to like work on just by yourself. So this way, the Swamp Dragon most likely will look way cooler. The things that you will learn through studying will not go to waste, because, like, let's face it, if you will study drawing cars for, let's say, 10 weeks, and then you will not draw a single car throughout like 2 years, because it can happen. Like, throughout the entire of my like artistic career, I have never actually needed to draw a single car. Then, like, why did you even practice cars? You could spend this time in a better manner. In a sense, you could learn something that will be more fitting to the things that you need. And this is also the way that I approach learning right now. Now I am learning quite a lot of anatomy and character design and pose drawing and whatnot, because I really want to get better at designing characters, and I have several projects that will require me to really up my skills with the character design type of thingies. So I'm studying characters. If I were to paint animals, then I will study animals. So this is, in a way, I do some things. Like, I like to know why I am doing a certain painting or a drawing or a certain study, because then the whole thing is way more pleasant for me. Like, I simply can enjoy painting a bit more. And now the thing that I really need to do is to delete, is to create new layer, take a black layer, to create the back of the bones that should be in here. Missing. And I guess for the blockout, this is everything that I truly need. So now I can start a basic rendering. So for basic rendering, you usually want to take the background a bit down, because it's easier to see values. Yeah, I mean, I also never had to, like, okay, maybe twice or 3 times I had to design a female character, but I prefer just painting monsters and barbarians. I don't know why is that. I just enjoy painting this type of a thing is more. So, but when I had to actually design a female character, before doing so, I had to study female anatomy way more than I used to do, like back in the days. So it was like not my best design, but I learned something. And now I kind of want to actually paint a bit more of a female characters, because this is like one of the most important things to know, how to draw and how to paint if you want to be an artist, especially an illustrator. So it will be a helpful thing to be able to do, basically. So I'm also studying how to draw females, etc. Because I always like kind of skipped the theme of like drawing humans in my illustrations. Vast majority of my paintings were actually demons and whatnot, and it was really hindering my process. I was always afraid of painting humans in my paintings because it's hard, and the reasonable thing to do was to avoid the topic, but now I feel it's catching back to me, so I really need to upgrade my skills in those fields. Okay, here also. I don't really enjoy tracing, like everybody can trace something. It's not really that big of a deal, and it does not really pretty much require any skill whatsoever. Of course, if you are like doing a design for it, you not necessarily need to be able to draw a human figure. You can just trace it because that will do the work and whatnot. But I always wanted to be able to draw anything from the imagination. Like, this is kind of a simplification, but I wanted to draw what I want and not be limited to the resources that I have, because if I decide to trace everything, then I would really depend on the photos that I have. And to be honest, even in the concept art, I see the same photos being used over and over again by different artists, like especially with the skies. I can easily see what type of a photo it is and from where they downloaded it with the textures and everything. And basically the ability to draw something or paint something without the need of the reference, even though I highly suggest using references, is much nicer skill to have, in my opinion. Because in the end you will be able to create something that is extremely unique. It will of course take way more time to learn how to draw and how to paint nicely, but in the end it is way better looking, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe time is money, but if you don't spend your time on practicing, then you won't be able to go through a certain, like, let's say, skill cap. There is only as much as you can do with, okay, let me duplicate this guy. There's only as much as you can do with the skills that comes with tracing. So if someone will actually require you to do something extremely complex that pretty much requires imagination. Hello, Miho. Yep, I'm happy to give you a boner. But for the things that actually require you to use your skills and whatnot, you will pretty much need to know how to draw. Even for example, as Miho is in here, like, I guess the 90% of the things that he could do, that he is doing, he pretty much could just like trace them. But because he pretty much can draw and paint every single thing that is out there, he is actually faster with drawing and painting than vast majority of the people I know with photo bashing are. So he spent like a shitload of time practicing drawing, and now it is really paying off, because he is able to do stuff that I know vast majority of people won't be able to do actually properly. And as much as I believe in using tricks and using everything that you can for your advantage, I believe even more in actually knowing the shit before you start using tricks, because this is what really differs like the beginners from someone who is truly advanced. And as you said, even if we consider the fact that the time is money, like spending, let's say, 5,000 hours now will later save you 10,000 hours while working. So it's just an investment, I would say, but in a really long run. And actually, Michał is someone who used to teach me how to draw at the school I was attending to. So basically, he is one of the biggest parts in my art endeavor and everything. So I own him really a lot. But yeah. But even for this guy, like, of course, I could trace him. Like, I could, like, download a 3D model of a skeleton. But this is only as much as I would be able to do with a 3D model of a skeleton. If I intend to paint big ass skeleton demon later, and I wouldn't find a 3D model for it, then it's okay. Now I have a problem, because I don't have, like, a 3D reference for it, so what now? And now I can, like, make him bigger, make him smaller, taller, make him whatever I want, because, like, this drawing even is a proof of concept that I am able to draw a decent looking skeleton. So yeah, it's time to color this guy. So I want to keep the colors exactly the same. Oh yeah, the amount of the adventures we had together is actually quite big. Even if we consider, like, breaking into a construction site and just going to the top of a building. There, to this day, I have no idea how it not happened in any one of us falling down from the building, but we we were dumber than we were dumb, but it was fun. So yeah, colors are beautiful. Now let's just overlay them, multiply them, multiply them. Let's play with the sliders. So the blues, a bit drier and a bit brighter. Okay, yellows. What I really like in the skeleton, that it has this, like, yellow tint to it. I not necessarily want to get rid of it, but I kinda want it to be a little bit more subtle. So let's duplicate the black and white version now. Set it to maybe overlay. Let's play with making it a bit brighter. So for example, for this guy, as you can see, I am using quite a lot of tricks to color him, but it works for me. Now it's still a bit too okay. This is the way I want him to look like. Yeah, it was actually also a dumb thing. I have no idea how we did not get beaten, like, back then. We wanted to go to some sort of a, like, a club or something. I have never been there, because he was like, okay, I will show you some cool places. And we went there, and there were, like, these 3 bouncers, and one of them was, like, fucking huge. One looks pretty much like a behemoth. Then there was the second one that was, like, the medium-sized type of a guy, and the third one that was small. And immediately when he saw us, he wanted to beat us. And since I used to be, like, I mean, mentally I still am a metalhead, but I look like one then, he already wanted to beat me. And instead of, like, running back like normal people would do, Michał started casting a curse on them. And we were drunk, both drunk as hell. He started casting a curse on the 3 of them. And the small guy was not really having it and wanted to beat us, and started to run to catch us. But then we started actually escaping and running. And we wanted to just go to some sort of a club to drink a bit more alcohol and everything. And we ended up like running throughout the city, throughout the streets, casting curses, like actual curses. Not like cursing at someone, but we were casting magic on the bouncers, which was kind of funny. It's definitely a night that I will remember pretty much forever. And thanks a lot. And hello, just me. You are quickly to be back. So yeah, we had like a lot of different interesting stories together. Also with me, when we were visiting each other, when he was visiting me, because I live in Gdańsk, he lives in Warsaw. We used to go to the beach because I live basically near the beach, and we used to drink at the beach and listen to music from Diablo. So it's also a really soul-binding moment I would have not many people share with me. Whoops, add some rust to it. No, I mean, I never was caring if anyone was calling me nerdy or something like this. Like, I guess in a definition, it's impossible to not be a nerd if you are actually an artist, because you basically will be doing nerdy stuff all the time. So I don't necessarily have any problems with it. Some rust looking things. Yeah, singing Vardruna at night is also a thing to remember. Make it a bit lighter. Actually bring some light to it. Nice. I need to listen to the Vardruna like after the stream. I don't remember the last time when I was listening to it, so definitely something that I am kind of missing at the moment. Whoops. I kinda wish, to be honest, to just paint this guy, like to start actually rendering him, but I don't really want to do this because this way the entire challenge will change into painting the monsters instead of like drawing them and simply adding the colors, so shit. Do I have everything on the layers? I do. Shit. I need to find a way to add some light to it. Actually, a really cool way to add a lightning to your painting is by using screen and just picking the color underneath it. So this way you will pick the color with the same like brightness and everything, and then you will be able to actually add the same color lighting to the geometry. I mean, I will do it, but most likely I will paint all the bosses. I don't want to like spend 10 hours by drawing like a skeleton, because I know how much more I have to do with them. So yeah, but I don't want. I don't wanna. No, I don't sell brushes, but every single brush that I use, that I have, I downloaded from digital brushes tumblr.com, and I guess the vast majority of the brushes that I use are from there. But basically the pack that I was collecting for like many years is like a combination of like, let's say 100 brushes, but in the end I'm just using like 2 or 3 of them, so nothing really too crazy. And at some point you will notice pretty much every single pack has the same muscles, the same brushes in it, so it's not really something that is extremely like original with me. I sometimes create my own brushes, but that really only happens when I need something like something really in particular. So, but thanks. I'm glad you like them. I don't think I want. I kind of want it to look like a comic instead of like rendering all the materials. I don't think it should be shiny. I think it should be like this dry bone, like creaking, like walking and just being dry. As my jokes are. He is as dry as my jokes. So, yeah. For the brush settings, it really depends on how you feel with the brush, because like vast majority of the brushes that I were using, that I tried to use, did not make the cut because I was simply not feeling them like in a good way. I kinda was not feeling the way they were used. And for the settings that I found that has the biggest impact actually is the way that they feel when you actually paint. So for example, this brush, as you can see, is really heavy. Like even if I press extremely lightly with it, it leaves pretty a significant like stroke. And if I press hard with it, it goes really dark really quickly. And I really enjoy this type of brushes, like with this type of things happening. But for me, the biggest thing is like smoothing. I usually keep it around 5 to 15 because it kind of makes the whole brush go smoother. So for example, now it is kind of jagged. If you go with smoothing like 79, it just works. Even if I try to make some jagged lines, it kind of evens everything out. So I think smoothing has like the biggest impact, in my opinion, on actually the brush settings. And for the drawing, it's just about the brushes. Like I usually download the brush, for example, in here. I was using the Nurzan Baklayev brushes, and I got like 5 out of them all. So I downloaded his brushes, and I already knew some of these brushes. For example, in here there are perspective brushes. So like in here, and this is pretty much the same brush that I have in my, I guess, special brushes, because it was in some different pack. So at some point you will just see brushes appearing and reappearing all the time. And this is pretty much everything that I use. After like 2 years of trying, I found one brush that was working for me with blending and whatnot. So it's just about experimenting. Like I mean, I can upload my brushes somewhere if anyone wants them, but like with the brushes, the hard part is not necessarily the brushes I use will work well for you. So most likely they won't. For example, I tried using, yeah, for example, I tried using Greg 88 brushes. I forgot his surname. Shit. Uh, oh my god. What was his surname? Greg Rutkowski, okay. Greg Rutkowski brushes, because I really love the way that his brushes look on his artworks. And after trying to use them for like 2 or 3 hours, I was like, wow, these brushes sucks. I cannot use them at all. And I was like, okay, it's not for me then, I guess. And just like about learning a tool. Like this is also the, let's say, philosophy that I strongly believe is true. Instead of like searching for a perfect brush, I mean, you should search for a perfect brush for you from the get-go, but learn using what you already have. And just by learning, yeah, Rutkowski, just by learning the tool, you will actually be able to like use it really nicely. For example, one of the brushes that I'm using most often is this one. It is from Darek Zabrodzki pack. And I have this hate-love relationship with this brush because it's like, it has this something that is really unpleasant to work with this brush. I have no idea what it is. I cannot pinpoint this feeling, but it is so universal. Like I can use it pretty much everywhere. It leaves great texture. It like creates great brush strokes and everything. And I tried like not using it, but after everything, I like kept getting back to it like over and over again because it's simply a good brush. And since I was like using it for so many years, I pretty much know how to use it like my way. So for example, Darek uses this brush completely in a completely different manner. I have seen him use this brush like in the classes and everything, and he just does different things with these brushes because like he knows how to use them, but in his own way. And in the end, whatever works for you. So I won't necessarily think that the brushes will make you a better artist. They will make things easier if you really feel that the brush works well with you, then you will produce better art because you will feel better with using this brush, but it won't solve the problems with paintings. Okay. I need to paint over this guy a bit, so I will go crazy if I don't. And here, ladies and gentlemen, the whole challenge slowly evolves into painting every single creature. By the time I reach Diablo, most likely I will like spend 5 or 10 hours doing a full illustration with every single monster in here. So yeah, this is what happens when you enjoy the thing a bit more than you should. I will try to keep this rendering thingies to the bare minimum, only for the faces. Because if I just go down this way, there's no way I'm going to finish this challenge at all. Yeah, I mean, I also enjoy working with colors. I wanted to do every single monster from Diablo 1 without colors, and then do every single monsters from Diablo 2 with colors. But it turns out the monsters from Diablo 1 will be in colors too. And it will kinda mean that I have to rework the monsters that I have already done. So the challenge might be a bit longer than I expected. And since I wanted this to be a skin on the metal shield, let's kinda give it the colors of a skin. Worn skin. Hello, Hikonaut. Whoops, not white. So a little back and forth. Yeah, the skeleton actually is, I guess, the nicest skeleton that as I have ever seen. Thanks a lot. If you just like came into the stream and if you would like to watch it how it came to be, the whole stream will be on my YouTube channel. I guess there is a link to my YouTube channel on the Twitch, so feel free to check it out later if you are interested how it came to be. Some like hair strains only to add them a bit more. Some like the breeze thing is falling off of him. Pelvic area. I guess let's just connect the whole actually I will save this. Okay, so this is the whole skeleton. This will be his shadow. Thanks a lot, Rogue Crafter. Okay. And the simplest way to add a shadow. Boom. And not a hack whatsoever. Guess the shield will leave a bit wider shape. So using this method is not like a foolproof, like a bulletproof method. It kind of requires some like reworking and everything, and especially since I kind of want the style of the shadow to be like a bit different than a perfect sharp shadow. I will always edit it slightly. So basically what I will do is I will add some like horizontal lines to it so it looks kind of blurred, so the edge is not that sharp. Just to kinda make it look a little bit more like believable, because I don't want it to be like physically blurred. I kinda want it to be visually blurred, so I will achieve this by actually like destroying the outline of a shadow. Yeah, I plan to, because to be honest, I am extremely interested what will be the next monster, especially since, as I said, after this like Instagram post, I got 7 monsters to randomize. To be honest, most like I would like to just like uncover all of them, but I kind of want this to be a surprise for me. But I wonder what the next one will be, so definitely soon I will like check it. I hope it's not. I want another skeleton. Or a demon, like something that is huge and with tons of muscles on it. I have enough of this. I don't really like the way this shadow looks. I guess I will leave it sharp. Boom. Boom. Like this. I will rework the shield. Boom. And I will only make this leg to go here. This leg will be higher. The only thing that I'm going to do with this shadow is to like remove it from the back bit. I have smoothing too much, so it will be kinda like disappearing. Yep, this is the way how I like this shadow. It's still not perfect, but it's better than previously. There's still something in here to like work up a bit. Not midtones, I want highlights and to make this cool, little bit more 3D looking. I wonder if the hair should be like colored as a steel. I guess I would do only this for a moment. So there will be like, they will have this bluish hue to them. Or there should be darker, a bit darker at least. Yep. I will call this one finito. This one is done. I wonder if the arm should be visible, but I guess not in a pretty heavy foreshortening. So let me only go to the liquify window. I will only like rework the chest area a bit. I don't know if you actually can see the liquify window or not. I don't think the Photoshop will show the liquify window. It does not. Oh, funny. What liquify is basically allows me to like tweak some minor things with all the shapes really slightly. So after finishing everything, as you can see, the whole shape changes a bit and I like it a bit more. So let's pick the shadow, make the shadow beneath the feet a bit darker. And yeah, I guess this is the corpse captain. Let's see what the autocolors think about it. Ooh, I like the autocolors version a bit more. It's colder. Let me see with the color balance. Yeah. I like the skeleton to be a little bit more bluish like instead of like red. But corpse also will fit too. The bluish one makes it a little bit more deceased, so let's keep it a bit bluish, yellowish maybe. Yellowish also, yeah, yellowish looks kind of cool in the shadows and in the highlights, and some blues in the highlights. Ooh, I really like it. This one looks like a cold death. It's like a white skeleton. I want him to actually be a bit more like it. So yeah, small change, but a really noticeable one. Only brighten the shield a bit now. Okay, so this is the final for this guy. Because if I start tweaking too much, I wonder also. Wait, the last thing that I need to check. The shadow should cast a shadow. If the shield should cast a shadow on the body, but hmm. Hmm. It's completely against the style that I wanted to achieve. But I don't like this. But I do like this. Yep, it stays. We'll add a background soon to this guy. Okay, that's enough. Okay, this is the final. I'm not touching it anymore. Maybe only in here. I miss a bit of a shape definition in here. I can only sight myself. Why am I like this? I want to finish him. Also, this is the biggest advantage that you got when you are using like layer blending modes for coloring your stuff. You will get a lot of this small, cool looking like colors and whatnot happening on it. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the progress. Okay, so this will be the final for this guy. And let me see what type of a monster will be randomized. So, the next one I promised for the stream was the G4. So let's see what's underneath the G4. So the G4 is... Yeah, fuck yeah, burning skeleton. Next stream will be with the next skeleton. Cool. I will see how much I improved on my skeleton drawing with the next skeleton. So the next one is burning skeleton. So yeah, this will be the end for the stream, I guess. It was a really cool one monster to make. Definitely really fits to this style, to this theme. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would do. So thanks anyone for like turning into the stream, for watching everything. And as I said, I will be streaming every Monday for this type of a stream, but during the whole week I'm doing like 3 or 4 of these. So I also got some weird noise from a Twitch, but I have no idea what it was. I will need to set up my Twitch thingies. But yeah, but this is how it turns out, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. So oh, okay, so this was a follow. I had some like custom widgets, but I turned them off at the moment currently. Later I will try to turn them on. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, I hope you enjoyed the stream. So look out for more. Also on my Instagram you will find more of these monsters, pretty much every single one of them that I do. And thanks for watching and goodbye. So have a good night, have a good day, or whatever time zone you are in.